Right lads, so this one's going to be a bit different. We're going to talk about the FA Cup, the English version of the Scottish competition, of course, that we regularly feature on this channel, as closely as the past weekend there, where obviously we went to 3 different Scottish Cup ties. Now, the following weekend, on from that, I'm going to the English FA Cup. You'll have pretty much figured out from the title and the thumbnail who I'm going to go and see, but in case anybody doesn't quite know just yet, think Flood FC member Mike Ashley. Who is he a part of in English football? That's right, Newcastle United. I'm going to St James's Park to witness Newcastle United versus Oxford United in the 4th round of the FA Cup. Now, just before I get into this video lads, if you want to send in predictions for this video, of course it's going to be a vlog on it, so if you want to send in predictions for it, I'm only going to take about 7 or 8 predictions, so keep that in mind when you're sending them. Try and get them in as quick as possible, because first come first serve will probably be the kind of mantra for these predictions. But I get them in on social media. My social medias are linked at the end of the video. You'll see it when it pops up at the end of the video, so get over on social media and send me your video predictions for the vlog for this Newcastle versus Oxford United FA Cup match. Now lads, I think you'll recognise this screen. This is indeed the screen that the big match predictions go up on, and as you can see, to the right of me are the links, or at least my usernames, for all of my social medias. So if you want to send in predictions, just go to either one of these that are on the right hand side of me just now and add me. Send me your video prediction, and as I said, it'll be a first come first serve basis. I'm accepting about 7 or 8 predictions for this game, so get them in fast. We've been to a few English grounds in the big match, and on the channel in general we've been to Boreham Wood as part of the then Iron Brew Cup, and we've also been to Carlisle and Blackpool this season. Now it's the turn of one of the Premiership teams, Newcastle. Of course, it's one of the closest places to get to from Scotland down to Newcastle. It's only about 3 hours on the train and around £80 for a return ticket. And for this game specifically, because it's an FA Cup tie, the ticket prices are absolutely outstanding. £11 for an adult, and that's the dearest price you get. Of course, it goes down for that in the different categories like junior, senior, if you're an over 65 or if you're a disabled person. The prices go from £11 or under, which is absolutely fantastic. Of course, it's a better deal for the fact that it's a cup game, so that it entices people to come and watch the game, especially considering the fact it's Newcastle versus Oxford. It's not the most mouth-watering tie that you'll ever see, but you've got to applaud either the FA or both clubs. I don't know who's come up with this deal for the ticket prices to be slashed that much, but you have to give them credit for that, because really, if the ticket prices were about, you know, the kind of Scottish level of £20 for an adult, etc., that might have been the difference between me going and not going to this game, because £80 on the travel to go down, and then add on top of that perhaps £20 per adult, so having to pay £40 for 2 tickets for my dad and myself to go down there, might have just been that wee bit too much. But with the £80 travel plus just £22 for both of us to get into the game, I was not turning that down. So it's a fantastic weekend on the cards for us, and I can't wait to actually be in a stadium that is that big. At the end of the day, this is one of the biggest stadiums in British football, at least, and one of the biggest stadiums probably in the world. Don't have the facts and figures on that, but I'm guessing it's near enough that. And I'm just really looking forward to finally being able to capture a bit of the English Premiership, at least, albeit it's not an English Premiership tie, but it's a good thing to be able to go to a place like St James's Park and capture a bit of that atmosphere that you would most cases never get in Scottish football. It's good in Scottish football, don't get my words twisted, but it's just nice to be able to go to these grounds, and especially ones that are very easily accessible in terms of travel, etc. A nice difference for the channel, basically. Just touching back on the ticket prices, the difference between this game and a regular Premiership game for Newcastle, because I did check this, it was £11 for an adult to get in to this game, as I've already mentioned, the FA Cup tie, but for a regular Premiership game at Newcastle's ground. Their next home game against, I think it's like Brighton or something, it's one of the mid-table teams. An adult to get into that game is £26. Now, put that against £24 for an adult to get into Dens Park or Tannadice. Is there just the £2 more to be paid to get into St James's Park than there should be either of those two stadiums in Scottish football? If your answer is yes, then I don't agree with you, because let's be honest, St James's Park is better than both those stadiums. No offence, but it's a massive stadium. It's one of the most iconic within world football, I suppose, but definitely British football. It's just highly indicative of how garbage our ticket prices are for fans, because £2 difference, come on. There is so much more that Newcastle's ground offers that most of our grounds don't offer, and I just think we're really missing our trick with these ticket prices. If you slash ticket prices by like a fiver each, then you may get a bit more people coming in the door, or you'll at least not have as many people going, nah, I didn't fancy that because of the ticket prices. That happens a lot, and it is probably the majority of the reasons why you see games like the one at Dens Park at the weekend where barely any home fans turned up to their game against Motherwell, probably because it was on the telly and they didn't want to come in and pay £20+ to probably see their team get beat. So my point stands on that, is that Scottish football really needs to look at their ticket prices, especially in special cup games like the FA Cup, or obviously ours is the Scottish Cup, and just jig them about and make them a bit more enticing for fans to come in. Do different deals a lot, etc, etc. There's some clubs that will do it a lot of the time because it's just their way of thinking up here in Scotland. But in terms of the ones that do the dearer prices for cup games, it's not a good look. But back to the Newcastle-Oxford game, I mean, I can't really give that much of an insight in these teams because I just don't have much information. Obviously, Oxford playing in the lower leagues of English football, I believe it's League One they play in. They're not exactly a great team, and they're just coming up to Newcastle to be able to have a go and see if they can win the game of football. That's all they can really do because they've obviously not got the same quality that Newcastle have. Well, on the other hand though, Newcastle have had a lot of injuries this season. They've been very unlucky with the amount of injuries they've had, and for them it'll just be about getting through to the next round because it's what they have to do as a Premiership team, especially when you come up against a lower league side. If you come up against a Championship side, you can sometimes come up against some decent teams depending on who you get drawn against. But when you come up against one of the lower league sides in these competitions, you have to get the business done when you're a Premiership team because your resources are so much bigger than the rest that it's almost a joke if you don't get through. In fact, no, it is a joke. And speaking of jokes when involving Newcastle, here is the man himself, Flood FC member Mike Ashley. I believe he's still not very popular around many parts when it comes to football clubs that he's been a part of. Obviously, Rangers, he's had a big impact there, and he's not the most loved character there. And Newcastle, he's been there for a good amount of time now, and he still gets slagged for not putting enough money into the club. So, Mike, if your team gets knocked out this week, then I'm sure you'll have a few people slagging you off for the fact that there's not been enough investment in the team. They're probably correct at the end of the day. You're in the Fraud FC for a good reason. But I am really looking forward to this game of football. I'm really looking forward to getting down to Newcastle and being in that sort of atmosphere. I really hope that the stadium is pretty much near enough full because I want to experience St James's Park at its peak and see all of these fans sitting around me. It'll be some experience for me. And I did this to kind of treat my dad as well because he has done a lot of travel for us in recent times and he does pay me into a lot of the games, so I purchased the travel for this game and the tickets to get into the game itself and did it as a bit of a surprise for him. Hopefully it can be backed up by a good game of football and a good day out in Newcastle and then back up the road, back up to Scotland to then get into the rest of the Scottish football season, as we always do. But aye, that's it for this video guys. Cheers for watching. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like, comment down below your thoughts on this game of football that I'll be going to. Have you ever been to Newcastle Stadium? If not, do you plan to go in the future? Because as I said, it is one of the more easily accessible grounds to get to from Scotland. Subscribe for more of this type of content, and until the next video, I'll see you then. Cheers, guys.